Well, hey there, my friend. Welcome back to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 256 of the Wannabe Clutter-Free podcast. Today, we are diving into something that affects every member of your household: how clutter impacts your family. We'll look at how the stuff in our homes is creating stress, tension, and sometimes even distance between the people that we love the most, and more importantly, what we can do about it. So, if you've ever felt like your home is weighing you down, creating tension between you and your partner, or causing stress with your kids, well, this episode is for you. And if you are new to this podcast, today is part two in a 10-part series where I am zooming in on one of the 10 areas in the Empowering Life Assessment. So, this is part of my clutter freedom method and how I help you make decluttering work for you. But this method isn't just about creating clean counters, as much as we love those, and it does actually happen in the process, but it's more about creating a life where your home feels supportive, not stressful. And we don't have to do it alone. And so that's why I love this topic of getting our families on board. And what's interesting is this episode is coming out at the perfect time because I just released my first book. It is Lenora and Her Super Duper Messy Room. It is a kid's picture book. And if you grabbed a copy this week, thank you so much. I have just loved hearing about families reading it, and the reviews have been amazing. It has been so fun to put this out into the world and hear how it's helping families get into decluttering. I ran into a mom over this weekend at our daughter's school, and she told me that as soon as they were done reading the book, her girls started sorting things and decluttering. And it was amazing because she didn't even have to ask them to do it. They just started. And isn't that what we all want, right? We want our families to just start doing the things that we want them to do. And if you're listening to this, it's called Wanna Be Clutter Free. So you likely want to have a home that is less cluttered. And if your family was just on board and doing that, wouldn't it be fantastic? So we're going to talk about that today in this episode. But if you have struggled with that, this is going to be my quick pitch to you to go ahead and grab the book, because there are some super cute decluttering labels in the back, and you can get those for free, but you can also download some different themes on my website as well. So that is just one of the heartwarming stories that I've heard. Lenora and Her Super Duper Messy Room is available in paperback and in Kindle on Amazon. All right, let's get into this episode, because if you are ready to feel less stressed, less overwhelmed, and more in control of your home and your family life, well, that's what today's episode is all about. So let's dive right in. We are going to start with a good foundation. And for that, I want us to look at my clutter freedom method. Now, this is the framework that I use to help families like yours create lasting change. And it's not just about tidying up, it's about reclaiming your time, energy, and peace of mind. So, freedom is an acronym, and here's what it stands for. F is for find your number. Now, this is your starting point using the Empowering Life Assessment. We will get to that in a minute. R is reclaim time and energy. This is where we find pockets of time to do the work. And when I say pockets, I mean tiny moments, small, tiny moments that will make a huge difference in your life. E is eliminate unnecessary inputs. We slow down the purchases and the things that come into our home so that we can address the real problems without adding more. The next E is to embrace small wins. We don't wait for someday. We don't wait until we can do the entire project. We celebrate these small steps and these small wins today so that it helps keep our motivation up, because I know motivation and staying motivated is one of the hardest parts. D is to decide the vibe. So how do you want your life to feel? Are you into calm and peaceful? Do you want fun and spontaneous? The best part is that you get to decide the words and the feelings of your desired vibe. It's not a one size fits all. This really is personalized for you. O is to oust the unnecessary. And this is the decluttering part, right? This is where we let go of what's not serving you and we really dig into it. And then M is to manage what remains. So finally, you put systems in place so that your progress sticks. Now, this method isn't just a one-time fix. It is a cycle that you can return to anytime that life starts to feel overwhelming or we feel like we've gotten off track. All right, so that is the clutter freedom framework. And then I want to talk about the Empowering Life Assessment, because I feel like there are 10 areas of our life that clutter really impacts. And this is not just physical clutter, it's mental and emotional clutter as well. But I think we can see that the physical stuff is the embodiment of all of it put together. And so, how do we find your number? Well, that is this empowering life assessment. This is another acronym. I love doing these. So, it just makes it easier for you to get back into and remember the things because you don't have to remember all of them. You just remember the one phrase. All right, so the 10 key areas of your life is each represented by a letter, and E is the environment. So, that's your home and your physical things. M is marriage and family. That's the one we're going to talk about today. P is people in your social life. O is one on one, your romantic life. W is your worth and your why. It's your purpose and spiritual life. E is earning and spending, your finances. We talked about that in part one. So if you didn't catch that one, go back to episode 253. R is resilience, and that is your physical health. I is your inner world, and that's your mental health. N is notifications, your digital world. And G is good time. So that is fun and joy and adding that back into your life. Because often that, I feel like that gets kind of pushed way, way, way to the back burner. So the idea of this is to look on a scale of 1 to 10 and give yourself a rating. And how do you feel in each area? For example, let's start with your home. Does your home feel chaotic? Maybe that would be a 2 for you. Or does it feel peaceful and functional? Maybe you would consider it an 8. So where are you on that scale? And by rating each area, you'll get clarity and know where to start. You can begin with the lowest score, or you can pick the one that's causing the most friction right now. It's completely up to you. And so that's how you find your number. It's where you focus your energy first to make the biggest impact in your life. The idea is to figure out how you can raise these scores a little bit at a time, right? We're not going to be able to go from a 1 to a 10 overnight, but you can go from a 1 to a 2, and then a 2 to a 3, and up on there. And maybe you don't have any 1s, and maybe it's not possible to have 10s and everything at the same time, but you want them to feel like you are making progress and feel in control. So you can ask yourself, like, what's really going to move the needle for me? What is going to make me feel in control? What's going to make me feel less overwhelmed? And like I've really got it all together, right? And that's where I see a lot of moms struggle. We don't feel like we're in control of our own lives anymore. We feel like we're doing everything for everyone else and that we get put on the back burner first. And we're always coming in last. And I don't want that for us anymore. I definitely don't want that for you. And so we have to put on our own oxygen mask, right? Before we can help everyone else in our family as well. But we do want to help our family. And so that brings me back to our focus on marriage and family category today and how clutter affects these relationships. But before we dive in, let's take a quick break for our sponsors who allow me to continue to bring you this show for free each week. Okay, let's take a look at the M in our empowering life categories for our marriage and family category today. And let's be honest, right? The clutter doesn't just pile up on surfaces, it piles up in our relationships. So when our home feels chaotic, we are more irritable, we are more short tempered, we are less present with the people that we love, and we might be, a little snappy at our kids. We might yell, we might resent our partner for not doing the things we think they should be doing, like not folding the laundry or, taking the garbage out or whatever it is that we think they should be doing. We might struggle to stay on top of the family schoolwork, our chores, our basic routines. We might fight over who does what or feel like everything's on your plate, right? We might be trying to keep score. And this happens often because we are overstimulated. When there's too much stuff for our personal level of sanity, we get overwhelmed and we stop acting from integrity. We get out of balance and that pendulum swings, right? We get really frustrated. But when I say we need less stuff, I don't want you to think that this means you have to eliminate all of it. You don't have to be a minimalist in order to have the benefits of less stuff, right? This is why I changed the name of this podcast from Wannabe Minimalist to Wannabe Clutter Free, because I realized that it wasn't about having the least amount of stuff to live with. It was about having the right amount of stuff. The amount of stuff that works for you, for your family, for where you are in life, for where you are on your journey. And you might have a different need, a different level of need of stuff, right? Based on what you are doing right now, what's happening in your life. Our life happens in seasons. Everyone's life happens in seasons. They ebb and they flow. For instance, if you have a new baby, well, you are going to need different stuff than if you have a teenager. If you're an empty nester, well, you may find that you have more time for hobbies. And so the stuff that goes along with that is going to be more important to you. And that is okay. There is no right or wrong. It is your level of stuff. And I think we need to acknowledge that because I think sometimes people think, oh, I need this, I need that, or I have to get rid of all my stuff because some woman on a podcast, I'm like shaking my hands over here, told me the science about how having less stuff will make you happier, right? Well, and of course that is true. To an extent, but you have to do what works for you. So if you are someone who loves stuff and you get rid of all your stuff, well, that's gonna not make you feel great. But if you're overwhelmed by your stuff, right sizing your stuff, getting to the right level of stuff that you can comfortably manage and maintain and feel good about and not feel like you are a slave to, is going to help with your mental sanity. Okay, so you have to just think about what season of life you are in right now and figure out what it is that you actually need. When we look at where we are right now, what we need, we can do our best to let go of the past. It's easier when we get real. We can say, okay, I don't need that anymore because I'm not in that season. So it does help us with the decluttering. So back to that season of babies and little kids. If you don't have any younger kids coming up, right? If you don't plan on having any more children, you don't have any younger children, well, then it's time to let go of those things that you don't need any longer. And you can keep some sentimental things if you want to, but you don't need to keep all of it, right? We can let go of some of those things that aren't serving us. And whether that is serving us in usefulness or serving us emotionally, that is a use, right? And so if they're not doing either of those things and they're just taking up space, then let's pass them on to somebody who is in that season of life and can use these things. You don't have to be a storage unit. Things come and go into your life, and so we can let them go. Because if it's not serving us, it's just sitting there. Holding on to it is probably just making you more irritable. It's overwhelming you. You don't know what you have. It gives you that big mountain of scaries because you've got all those boxes that you haven't opened in years and they feel like they're going to be so difficult and so challenging to get through, but they might actually be pretty easy once you actually start opening the boxes, okay? Because, like I just mentioned, it might be making you more irritable. You might have short tempers. You might be yelling at your kids, and so on. You might also be struggling on the daily and only cleaning your house on the weekends because that's when you can fit it in. So, not only are you busy during the week with school and work and life and doing all the things that you have to do within the time crunch, but now your weekends are also filled with chores and things you don't want to do, right? You're supposed to be relaxing. You're supposed to be having a good time. You're supposed to be going to all those soccer games. But in between that, you are letting go of some of the things you're supposed to be doing, right? That enjoying life moment, and you're stuck doing chores because you've got so many things on your plate and all the stuff is overwhelming you. So it can create problems with the emotional bandwidth that you are able to give your family. So this is how the stuff not only affects us, but it affects those connections and our families. On the partner level, too, we'll talk about intimacy in another episode, but as a parent, having too much stuff might mean that you're nagging your partner to do the things around the house. So instead of being proactive and setting aside time to get on the same page and have that quick chat, check in, or a full on family meeting if you want, you were just like, you're being reactive instead of proactive. And when I see women who are overwhelmed, everything just feels chaotic, right? You lose that moment of saying, I can manage this. You're always putting out the fires. We don't want to live from that place. We want to live from a place of in control. And it's not about perfection. This isn't about becoming a minimalist. It's about finding the right amount of stuff and the right systems for your season of life. All right, so now that we've looked at clutter's hidden impact and maybe even not so hidden impact, I want us to start to shift the dynamic. And here are 3 questions you can ask your family. So question number 1, what is our vision for how our home should feel? Is it calm? Is it fun? Is it spacious? Is it comfortable? Let everyone weigh in, right? Have a moment, be quiet, let everyone say what they want. And it might be really insightful to see what they say. Because it's not just us barking orders at everyone, right? I want to live in a home where everyone wants to be there, where we all have an impact and we're all taking ownership over it. And one way to do that is to get buy-in and find out what they want. So if we can find out what they want, how they want it to feel, we can then start to craft it so everyone feels welcome in their own home. Now, some sub-questions for you if that one isn't getting the juices flowing, right, is how do you feel now? Is that how you want to feel? What are little changes that we could make if it's not really how we want it to feel? Or what are little changes we could make to make it feel whatever the word is they said in question number 1. And get people to get creative and start to give you ideas. It doesn't all fall on your shoulders, mama. All right, question number 2. Is there a spot in the house that always creates tension? For you, it might be the kitchen because you cook every night, you spend most of your time there, and so you feel that chaos. For your partner, it could be the garage because they can't get in and out of their car easily. So on a daily basis, they're just frustrated with that. For your kids, it might be the morning chaos getting out the door because they can never find their shoes and they hate the stress of being late to school or getting yelled at because they're late to school or having someone waiting for them in the car, right? All that like pressure and stress. They don't like it. So, where is the spot in the house that creates the most tension? And then number 3, do I feel guilty about the mess or am I resentful that no one helps? So, this one's a flip side question. Let's break both of those down. Do you feel guilty? Did you grow up in a home where your mom did everything? And so you feel like you have to take everything on? We can let go of some of that mom guilt. I do have an episode about mom guilt, so I'll link to that in the show notes. But we can figure out a way to bring everyone on board on this journey with us, right? It's not all us. Like I just said, it doesn't only fall on our shoulders. We all live in this house. This is all of our home. And so let's get everyone on board in a way that works for everyone. On the flip side of that question, do you feel resentful that no one helps? Another part of that question, do you allow others to help with all the things? Can you relax your standards a bit? I know a lot of moms, especially high-achieving moms, have a very certain way we want things done. And I fall in that category often. Now, some way may seem the best way to us, but isn't it better if we let go of things just a little bit and have something done rather than trying to make it perfect and never getting it done? I think so. Yeah, I do. And so, how can we release some of this? Let's be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, are my expectations clear? Can I let go so others can step in? Can I ask for other people's buy in and ways of how they want to do it and just see if that works? Just let go of it for a while and give it to someone else. Make someone else have that responsibility and then you completely release it. I know it's a challenge, but you can do it. I know you can. It's better for everyone, I promise. All right. And then to reframe that for your family, go ahead and ask them like, hey, what's one thing you can do around the house to help with these things that we just talked about? These conversations can be really powerful and they help shift the clutter from a personal burden to a shared responsibility. And so I want you to know that clutter is often a symptom of bigger things going on. And maybe that's just a miscommunication of how things are. Maybe it's delayed decisions because you're so busy, you've got so much going on. Maybe it's because we have too much and we're trying to squeeze all of this stuff into this limited amount of time and space that we have. And so it's just a reminder that clutter is often the symptom. It's not the root cause of the problem. And that is why this clutter freedom method is so useful and has helped so many people really open their eyes because we often think that if I could just clear the clutter, it would be better, right? Like if I had this magic wand and could have HGTV come in and clear out my house, things would be perfect. My life would be great. And the problem is you're not dealing with the underlying cause of why you have all this clutter coming into your home or why the stuff's not leaving and why it's creating the problems in your life. And until we address those issues, you would just reclutter your house if someone organized it. I know it doesn't seem like it, but trust me, you would. I've seen it time and time again. And I've seen it in my own life where if I had just cleaned up, like things would be great. But then obviously you're continuing to clean your house, right? You re-mess it up again. And that's because we don't have the right systems in place and we're not managing it correctly. And that's the last letter of clutter freedom is to manage what remains. And so by starting here though, working through the marriage and family part of clutter and where we are in the scale, we've at least got to start the process and work through those steps so that we can get to the part where we have okay, we have the right amount of stuff, it's manageable for us, and it works for our families. And so once we do that, then we can manage from there. All right. And so I want you to be able to have these more open conversations, to have an easier time dealing with the things as they come up instead of already having that mountain that we're dealing with and that we're already frustrated with. And that's causing a lot of tension, right? So let's go ahead and start decluttering it. Let's get back to things being easier and that we can do this as a family. We're going to take one more quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about 3 things that you can do today to ease your family clutter. You don't want to miss these. Now that we have the answer to our 3 questions, let's make this actionable. So here are 3 things you can do today to ease clutter's grip on your family. Number 1, create a family clutter code. So I want you to come up with a simple mantra that everyone can remember. For example, if we don't love it or use it, we let it go. If I haven't played with it in a year, we let it go. If I wouldn't buy it today, I don't keep it. If we were moving and I got to create my dream house or my dream room, would I bring this with me? If it wouldn't be in your dream room or your dream house and you don't absolutely need it, why would you keep it? Right? So these are just some family clutter codes that you can start to adopt. Make it fun, repeat it often, and let it guide your decision making. Make it easier. All right, number 2, start a 10-minute reset routine. Once a day, set a timer and tidy up together. Put on a fun playlist, make it a game, get everyone involved. Just 10 minutes a day as a team can transform how your home feels. So as you start to do this over and over again, it's going to build consistency. It's going to build teamwork. You're going to start to see the things that are used a lot, and you're going to start to see the things that don't get used very much. And it does make that decluttering process easier. So just start with a 10-minute reset routine and watch it transform your space. If you want to step it up a notch, I already said this, race and make it a game, right? So race each other, and whoever wins gets to pick the playlist for tomorrow. I always like there to be some sort of reward. It's part of the clutter freedom framework, like some way to embrace those small wins. But obviously, we don't want it to be a physical thing because we're not adding more clutter. We're not adding more stuff into our homes. And a lot of people don't want to bribe their kids with sweets. So this might be a great reward for you. You get to pick the music for the next day. It also helps delay gratification a little bit, right? We live in a world that is all about instant gratification. And so this can be a great tool to help build a little bit as you're having to wait until tomorrow to get your prize. We're trying to build up these muscles, right? Everything in our life these days seems to be so instantaneous, like that one-click buy trap that is so easy to fall into. All right. But just as you do this, you will be amazed at how much you can get done in 10 minutes because think about it. One person is 10 minutes of human cleaning power. 2 people are 20 minutes. 3 people are 30 minutes. 4 people, if you've got a family of 4, you've got 40 minutes of cleaning time that's happening in one 10-minute chunk, right? So you can get a lot done in 10 minutes. And then the third thing I want you to do is to designate 2 key zones. One is a clutter-free zone. This is a sacred space that always stays clear. So maybe it's your dining table or your kitchen counter. Now, of course, if something ends up on it, we're going to clean it up in that 10-minute tidy reset, right? But it's not something where something stays on there and continues to accumulate stuff, right? So this is our one clutter-free zone. It's going to be sacred and you're going to clear it off every single day. And this will help you create a bond as a family and create a moment of like we're all in this together. And this is something that we can strive for together. The second zone I want you to have is a drop zone. And this is a practical place where you can be more relaxed and just dump your things, right? This is super helpful for our busy modern lives. So in my home, we actually have all sorts of these around, and they're just prettier now that we've been doing it for a while. So inside our front door, we have a mat where we take our shoes off right away. We have a shoe rack inside the closet where we actually put our shoes, but the mat is generally for guests and like the one pair of shoes we wear on the daily basis. And then we also have a little bowl that holds our keys and our pocket things like chapstick, pocket change, things like that. We also have hooks on the wall for backpacks and purses and the coats that come in on a daily basis. So that is our drop zone where everything gets dumped right as we walk in the door. And once that habit has been established, you won't have to worry so much about things just getting thrown on the floor. Like when kids come in and they just leave like that trail of breadcrumbs of their clothes, like as they just start to derobe as they come in, there's a shoe here, a sock there, a backpack, a jacket, all these things that just like lead down the hallway. Well, this is how they can be corralled, right? So instead of them being everywhere, we can just take a moment, we pause, we have that drop zone. And if you don't have time to set up a system like I just described that we have in our home, well, simply grab a box or use painter's tape and tape off an area on the floor and use a basket or a rug. Anything you have around your home can be used. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's just one spot where you can say, okay, this week, when you come home and you take your things off, you're going to put them here. And then it just gives them a place to live. You don't have to worry about picking them up later, right? So these two zones can create clarity and consistency without perfection. And you can do these three things today or this week if today is too busy, but I want you to commit and find time in your schedule to take action. And then remember, if you struggle with these conversations or you want help getting your kids interested in decluttering, check out Lenora and her super duper messy room on Amazon. So that wraps it up for today. Remember, your clutter didn't just show up overnight, and you don't have to fix it overnight either. But starting with your family, these people that you love the most, is one of the most powerful steps that you can take. So make this a team effort. Remember, you're all working together. You are all on the same team. This doesn't have to be a fight. It's not an us versus them. We want to bring everyone together, get everyone on board. And I know that navigating the clutter in the family isn't always just about the stuff, right? It's about our time, our energy, our relationships, the expectations we carry or feel pressured by. I also know it's not always so easy, but if we can start small and create some of these small systems, these three things that I laid out today should be manageable and doable. So hopefully you can get everyone on board. And if you are feeling the weight of all of that today, I want you to know that you're not alone. I hope this episode gave you a few powerful insights or maybe a new way to talk to your partner or your kids about the clutter that's been building up in your shared space and probably in your mind and heart. So if today's episode gave you a new insight or a helpful nudge, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and share your takeaway on Instagram and tag me. I'm at Wannabe Clutter Free, or join the conversation in our private Facebook group. Just search the Wannabe Minimalist family and you'll find us over there. All right, and then don't forget to leave a rating or a review for the show if you enjoyed this episode. And don't forget to subscribe because this is part of a 10-part solo series where I am working through each area of the Empowering Life Assessment, and it's going to be mixed in with some amazing guest interviews to keep things fresh. Speaking of which, next week I am joined by Amy Slinker-Smith, and we're going to talk about using simple systems to support a decluttering mindset that actually sticks. You don't want to miss it. Until then, take care, keep things simple, be open to letting go, and remember, I believe in you. I'm Deanna Yates, and you've been listening to Wannabe Clutter Free. I'll see you next week. Cheers.